Hey, welcome back. Hey, today I've got 60 years of Massey subcompact tractors. So follow along and we'll give a little comparison between these and we'll show you first what we're working with. So the beginning is the Massey Pony tractor. So these were built by Massey Harris. This one I believe is about a 1950 model. I'd have to look it back up, but I think it's 1950. And then we have a Massey Ferguson 1020. This is mid 80s model. And then we also have a Massey Ferguson 1725MB, and that is 2021. I think a 2020 actually. This is about 2 years old. So similar tractors in a lot of ways in terms of size. Lots of differences otherwise. But it's kind of interesting to see what 60 years has done to this market, if you will, and how these tractors have evolved. So why don't I grab you here and we'll go in and take a look at all of them a little bit. All right, so why don't we start with the Pony. So these Pony tractors were built by Massey Harris, and in 1953 when Massey Harris and Ferguson joined forces, there actually was a gray version of these tractors that basically same thing, but it just marketed under the Ferguson name. So they were red for Massey Harris, and the gray ones were Ferguson's. Now, there's not that many, relatively speaking, a lot fewer Fergusons than Massey Harris's out there. I've had this tractor for a little while, and the reason I got it is many years ago, I remember my grandfather bringing one of these home in the back of his 1966 Chevy half-ton pickup. And we used that tractor, or he did, to cultivate strawberries. At one time, we had about 25 acres of strawberries, and I don't think the Pony ever saw a ton of use. In reality, we used other equipment, but that was the reason for buying it. I think he thought it was cool. I did too. I thought, didn't know they made tractors that small back at that time. So what you have here is 12 mean horsepower, all packaged in a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, 62 cubic inches, and a 3-speed gear drive transmission. There was no hydrostatic option. There was no 4-wheel drive option. So you got 2-wheel drive, 3 speeds. And in this case, this one has an Armstrong lift. And that's, depending on what you have loaded up, gives you a good workout. And so it's a good exercise machine. Unlike every other tractor here, this has a belt drive. So belt drive, PTO, and I've got a pulley on there for a rotary cutter. I happened in this case, I've got most of the implements. I've got a little single gang disc, and those mount on these just fine. Doesn't take too long. Obviously, no 3-point hitch. And so it uses the arms in the back and then uses this hole. You slide a hook into the hole, and then you mount it up to these arms here, and then your muscle power raises and lowers it. So useful. I'm probably the next thing I'll do is hook the sickle bar mower up to it. I've got a sickle bar mower, rotary cutter, the disc, cultivators. Seems like something else I'm forgetting. But when I disc with this, it's a rough ride over plowed ground, but you know what? Got the job done. So it's a, for its day, handy tractor. Definitely, these were built for market gardens or, truck farmers, we would call them. People that had, vegetables and so forth. That's what these tractors were really designed, you know, what the purpose they were designed for, and they did a fine job of it. So mine's a one-eyed wonder. I do happen to have 2 original headlights and brackets I'll put on one of these days. Prior owner had converted it to a 12-volt alternator. I do have a generator. I'm going to send it back. You know, the 6-volt works great as long as you have cables that are big enough to handle the amperage. So we'll get that straightened out and make this tractor just a little more original than it is. So we'll get to starting them here in a minute. And then you jump about 30 years into the future. So we went from gasoline powered, pretty basic, you know, little tractor to, in this case, diesel powered, this 3-cylinder diesel, virtually the exact same size in terms of cubic inches engine. This is obviously a 4-wheel drive model. Now you move to 3 speeds in 2 ranges, so you have 6-speed transmission. Power takeoff as well. This has a differential lock. You do not have a differential lock on the Pony. So, you know, there's definitely a advancement in gearing and so forth. 3-point hitch, you know, category 1 3-point hitch, which obviously extends the usefulness of the machine substantially. Now, I have a sprayer on here. The only thing I use that sprayer for is to control our burn when we burn the prairie. And so we call this our fire engine. It's we load it up with water, and it does a very effective job of keeping the fire where we want it to be. So, you know, throttle, foot throttle as well, differential brakes, obviously a PTO, and this has a high and low speed on the PTO. Never used it. So, you know, this tractor, I bought it because I thought it was cool. It has been repainted at some time. Originally, all the silver and the cast parts, those should have been black in this tractor, and you know, so on down the line. And the wheels, I think, were a slightly different color gray, but it doesn't really matter, and so forth. But she's seen some use. The the arms are pretty well beat up. I do happen to have a parts tractor, and one of these days I'll get around to swapping out a little better equipment on that. But fun little tractor, and I enjoy it. I've done a little work on this machine. So I had a seal leaking on this wheel, and to get that done, you have to take everything apart, including your joints here. Well, there is 86 5mm ball bearings loose all around that, and you can imagine the fun of keeping those in place and getting it lined up. That took the longest of the entire job, but we did eventually get it done. Except when I got them all finally put in place in grease, I had 84. So I had to go to McMaster-Carr, order me some 5mm ball bearings, wait a few days, and then get it put back together. So tractor, this tractor is super reliable. It just starts all the time. It can set for months and go and crank it, and away it goes. Same with this guy. I gotta say, I just got this. I moved it out for the video, and I probably hadn't run it since, oh, I don't know, mid fall last year. Started right up. So, and that is the smoothest running tractor ever. We'll show you that. And then we get to this one. So jump about another 30 years forward. And now here's what you have. Obviously, much different size tires and wheels. You've got a different. In this case, obviously, I've got a loader and a backhoe on this machine. We're not going to really talk much about those. It does make this machine really handy. I use this a lot, and it starts too. Amazing. Hydrostatic in this case. You cannot get a gear transmission on this machine. 25 horsepower. The Pony's 12, and the 1020's 21. So it's just a little progression, obviously, in power. You have differential lock here too. Mid and rear PTOs, multi-speed PTO as well. Obviously, four-wheel drive here too. Now, there are a few things, just because this is new and modern, I have to say there are a few things about it that I don't particularly like, and I'll show you what they are. And I think it's pretty common across these subcompacts. Number one, the 3-point control. It does that. Okay, so if you push it down and let it go, it'll just stop. So you can't really put it down and have your implement stay down. So for instance, if you're in a position where you drop your implement all the way down, and that's not the full range of the arm movement, if you let that up, that implement could, change its depth pretty easily. Don't like that. I wish that was changed. Whereas on the Armstrong lift, well, it's right where your arm put it. And on this guy, you truly have position control. So you can go in and set it where you want. You can adjust your stop where you want to drop it to. And I like that much better, because if you drop it all the way down, these arms will float. And that, I think, is a big advantage in this case. So now, none of these tractors have what I think is the Ferguson or Massey Ferguson trademark, which is draft control. None of these have a draft control function on them. Well, this is manual, so you can kind of see when you're operating this, you've got arms up front too, right there. That's going to control your front cultivators or front mounted implements, and then of course the rear ones do come back here. This is your PTO in and out right there, differential brakes, your clutch, and so on. So you may notice there's one major ergonomic difference between these. That, super easy to get onto. Adjustable seat, adjustable steering wheel, etc., etc. On, off, easy peasy. This, not near as easy to climb onto, and you pretty much jump off. And floorboards are non-existent. They didn't come with them. Creature comforts were not the main thing. Seat is a bit firmer than the other two tractors. So, this was, it was made for work, not for comfort. And I get that. I get it. This machine, more comfortable padded seat. Now, this does not have power steering, which that one does, which is real handy. That's super nice. Otherwise, there's not a ton of differences. In many ways, there's not. Other than, you notice just the size of the tires and wheels. So this has an almost 12-inch ground clearance versus about 7.5 here. I will assure you, this will get stuck way before that will, and even that, in my opinion. But that is what it is. The other thing is the 1020 weighs probably about 2,400 pounds versus about 1,550 on this straight machine without loader and without the backhoe. This is a much lighter unit than the 1020, and I don't recall what the Pony weighs, but probably somewhere in between these two is my guess. The one thing consistent with Massey across the years is everything's cast iron that matters. So all your transmission differential housings, all that stuff are made out of cast iron. I like that. What else can I tell you? I don't know what to tell you about it. So, around this place, here at the city version of Frog Hair Farm, this tractor does see a lot of use for a lot of reasons. It's just super handy all across the board. I've used the backhoe a fair amount, use the forks all the time. It's dug, hauled gravel, spread gravel, everything you would ever ask of it. I really do like this tractor. I think Massey is their current line of tractors are a good value, and you get a lot for your money, and I just think they're good machines. I've had no problems in about 150 hours of use, and 2 years with this, just not a single issue with this tractor. So let's maybe I don't know if I can hang on to you and get onto the pony at the same time or not. Let's see. Let's ride the pony. You know what? I'm going to come right back. All right. Well, we made it up here, and we'll get it started. So toolbox is handy here, and place for it. Basically, there are 0 safety interlocks on this tractor, not a single one. So it means they kind of expect you to use your brain in starting this. So we'll, throw our machine in neutral, turn the key on, and there we go. Now, I'm going to throw it in second gear. Probably the biggest drawback to this machine in the current era is the lack of gearing. It's it does limit you because the first gear, it's pretty slow. It's not terrible, but it could be slower. It definitely has a short turning radius, and so it's it's a very maneuverable little machine. And that's full throttle, really quiet, and almost 0 vibration. It's pretty astounding, actually, how smooth this little engine is. And part of that is a function of not having much compression, maybe 6 pounds. Something like that, 6-to-1 compression ratio, something like that, I would say. It's a flathead Continental engine. So that's a little demo ride on the pony. Now, getting off. So you can kind of see that there's, they didn't build steps on them. And so you got to use tires and all that, jump down. But it's easier actually to get on and off if you do have an implement on it. I will say that for it. So but bare tractor, not not a ton going on there. Anyway, that's the era that it was built. Now the 1020 3-cylinder diesel engine. It's basically exactly the same size engine as that, different manufacturer, of course. Naturally aspirated 3-cylinder diesel. So this, when I got this, it wasn't charging. Turned out to be the rectifier here. I got a replacement. If you have a tractor like this and you don't, and it's not charging and it's not your alternator, I don't recall the part number, but I can definitely look it up. Shoot me a message. Happy to help you out. These alternators are a lot like a motorcycle alternator and so forth. Batteries up front, of course. Little stuff there. So I'll shut that. Will it start? I don't know. It's been a half hour since I started it last. This does have a safety interlock. You got to have the clutch in. Let's put her in neutral anyway. There we go. Safe to say a lot more vibration, certainly noisier, and so forth. So stick it in third. We're in low range right now, back here. And we don't have our PTO on it, sure. Differential lock here. So, there we go. Oh! Smells like a diesel. I know this is probably not very exciting. Sorry about that, but gives you some idea. Okay, way easier to get on and off of than the pony tractor, and which is nice. This tractor is even easy to get on and off on both sides. A lot of the newer tractors, it's really left side, is your on and off. This tractor's not bad getting on either way. It's a fun little tractor and pretty tough. Actually, when I get ready to disc the buckwheat, I think I'll hook the disc up to it and we'll see what happens. Why not? So then, the last one here, probably the least interesting in reality, is the 1725. Now, I will say I think Massey did a great design job on this. This backhoe you can take off in 5 minutes or put back on in the same amount of time. But the arms, you do not have to remove the arms. And so arms just unpin, they fold up, and so forth. I got to say that, the backhoe, it makes, in my opinion, the backhoe practical because it is so easy to get on and off when you don't need it. And there's a lot of times I don't need it and I don't want to have it on the machine. So super easy on and off there. I've never had a reason to take the loader off this one. I'm sure it's pretty simple, but I don't really have no need to remove it. Even more creature comforts here, so easy on and off. Seat has arms. You can adjust it. You can adjust the steering wheel. What else can I say? Pretty straightforward stuff. Then easy start. That's your 2-range selector on your hydro, so fast, slow, and of course your arms. Your PTO here controls. That's all PTO. This does have cruise control. Basically, just locks your hydro pedal in in a place where you want it. Yeah, I rarely use that. This machine doesn't really see the kind of use where that would be handy. This also, pretty vibration free, really. This tractor is quite a bit more refined than the 1020, and steering is finger easy. What can I say? We're not going to drive this around too much. It's kind of boring. But several safety interlocks on this machine. Apparently, folks that buy tractors have gotten less intelligent over the last 60 years. Again, 3-cylinder diesel now. This is oriented differently, so radiator in back, so you're drawing air from the back rather than the radiator up front. Battery's easier to get to here. Things like that. I think I wouldn't say the serviceability is way simpler in this, but they've done a little thinking about that. I think it's a pretty common configuration with compact tractors in terms of orienting the engine radiator behind. So that's 1725. Anyway, it is basically represents 60 years of I say subcompact tractors a little tongue-in-cheek, but basically 60 years of development on small tractors from Massey Harris, Massey Ferguson. The usage was different. These tractors were bought by farmers, people who use them to produce and farm produce and things of that nature. I'm sure row crop farmers may have used these around the barnyard. Who knows? The 1020 is a little bit in between the two, so probably still some light farming use, tillage for sure. Obviously, you could get a loader and all that on this on the 1020. There was no backhoe option, but a little bit of a step from strictly farming machine to an acreage. You could get a belly mid-mount finish mower on this machine. More towards someone with an acreage that's not necessarily farming, although you certainly could do some of that with this. This machine here, even further, oriented towards someone that has an acreage by a long shot in reality. These tires for any kind of tillage work other than running a rototiller behind it are not at all what you want. It's these guys could get stuck in a plow furrow, for instance. Not that there's that many plow furrows anymore, but nevertheless, not really at all designed for a farming application. And what it is designed for, though, it does a really fantastic job. Very versatile machine. And it definitely does the job around here. I really like it, and so forth. I have a 4-foot tiller over there that I commonly put behind this machine, and it you know, it handles it without breaking a sweat. So anyway, hope you kind of enjoy, you know, 60 years of differential in tractor design from Massey Ferguson, and you know, the safety aspects, or you know, the we'll take care of safety for you aspects certainly major difference. You're on your own here. That seems reasonable to me. Use your head. You're a little less on your own here, and again, okay, yeah, all right, but you still, you know, you got to think about it. This one, you know, I'm not telling you not to worry about it, but it does kind of keep you from doing really dumb things. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I love these little tractors. You know, the Pony doesn't see a lot of work other than when I feel like playing around with it to see what I can do with it. We'll definitely get the sickle bar more mounted on there, and we'll do a little mowing with it here. The 1020 Massey, I bought it just because I thought it was cool, and it was there. And again, that's primarily our fire truck, but we'll put this to some other uses as well. And then the real workhorse, though, is the 1725. That's what I use all the time. Love it. I cannot tell you how much that machine sees activity, and how it's performed up to my expectations in every way, other than a very small number of, you know, little niggles that I have about it. So, and they're pretty minor in reality. Otherwise, hey, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll come up with more tractor content, you know, and so forth, and you'll see more about the buckwheat, the bees. We'll get into some crawler stuff and things like that in the future. If you like that stuff, subscribe, shoot me a like. Thanks a lot.